Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I am here with day 5 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life series 19. And today's sketch is by Kristen Lippelman, and that is Scrapping Sleepy here on YouTube as well as on Instagram. And I'm going to document a couple of pictures from how my administrators at my school celebrated my birthday. And I'm going to use Spectrum Gardenia. And then I've got some scraps from Spectrum Gardenia as well as Spectrum Sherbet and some embellishments from Spectrum Gardenia. And I do bring in a couple from Spectrum Sherbet as well. So I've also got scraps. So I have my papers, my embellishments, my scraps, my pictures in this awesome layout. So let's see how this goes. So anything to use up scraps, branding strips, and things like that makes me super happy. And so this was a great layout for that. And I was trying to think of what collection I had that had the most scraps in it. And I actually picked Gardenia because there's a paper that has a bunch of strips down it. And I was just going to use that instead of scraps. But when I pulled out my Spectrum Gardenia, I had combined the scraps from that and Spectrum Sherbet, and there were tons of them. And I was like, this is the perfect opportunity. I am not going to waste that. So I went ahead and used little bits and pieces. So I just put a piece of double-sided tape down from one end to the other across the top. Of course, now it's, on the left side because I've turned it. But I'm just going to go through and alternate my scraps. There's no rhyme or reason. I don't want two colors right on top of each other. But other than that, that's the only thing that I'm looking at. I am alternating like the length because I don't want them to all be the same length. And then I'm tearing the bottom so they're all equally torn. I did consider taking my dauber and inking the ends of all of them, but I didn't get that far. I never did that. But I do end up using a little bit of media, so I feel like in the end, I like the way that it looks, so that's important. And another memory is documented, of course. So I take some of the leftover bits and the bits that I cut off from the top, and I put those down at the bottom, trying not to, again, have like anything next to each other, like color on color. And then when I get done with that, I found two of these embellishments right here from the Spectrum Sherbet collection. I didn't use a lot of the orange and the pink because I don't typically use a lot of orange, which ironically is the color for Rainbow Crush this month. So it'll be interesting to see what I end up pulling out for that. It may be this collection again because obviously I've got lots of orange with this or with Spectrum Sherbet. So, but I found the perfect use for these little cards. Now on the sketch, they're in like Polaroid form, and I would have done that, but I couldn't trim my pictures down enough to be squared off to put properly in a Polaroid. And I really wanted to use these embellishments that came from the collection. So I just decided that this was close enough. And then I needed something back there. All that white was going to be just too much for me. So I just took my black soot, smushed it onto a piece of acetate, put some water on it, squished it together. Made a bit of a mess, but get some smushing down. And then I do some splattering here in a second with what's left over on my watercolor brush. And I feel really good about how this ends up. I like the fact that most of what you see right now is going to get covered, but it's still there peeking out in different places, and the splatters are definitely there. I probably had splatters on myself until I took a shower because it was everywhere. I was Snapchatting my friend Sally, and all of a sudden I was like, ah! So it was an adventure. But even if it had got on my page, it would have been fine because I was just putting splatters on. But it's just because the piece of acetate I was using was a little thicker than usual. And so when I bent it to smush the water and the ink, it like came back at me. So it was pretty... While I was getting this mixed media done, I was laughing a lot. So, but anyway, so I did mat my pictures on a piece of purple because that's one color that is I'm not representing with the embellishments as much, although I did find a couple things. So I wanted to bring in the purple. There was lots and lots of color in the balloons all over my office floor. I walked in the morning after my birthday weekend, and my room was covered. What you see of the balloons in this picture is nothing. They were completely, I couldn't see my floor around my desk or in front of my desk. And there was a banner hanging down in front of on my door. And so I kept joking with them that they were trying to test my agility, because I had to like duck under the sign and step over the balloons and stuff. So that was pretty entertaining, and I felt very appreciated. There were little party hats on. I have a couple of things on top of my computer screens. One of them is a fingerling, which is a monkey. I mean, I work in an elementary school, y'all, so I'm a lot like, not cool as, but I try to be like Penelope Garcia on Criminal Minds. And she had all the little happies on her desk, so when she's having a bad day, or when the people around me are having a bad day, I can pull out this little monkey that burps and farts and makes funny sounds, and it makes people happy. And so anyway, the fingerling is Mr. Giggles, and he's on the top of my computer, and they put a party hat on him. And then I have these little computer companions that you see in this picture, and that's Nick and Charlie from Heartstopper, and they sit on the corner of my computer screen, and they put party hats on a party hat on the two of them, as well as like noisemakers all over my desk. Like, I didn't take pictures of everything, but it was all over. And then of course they bought me lunch and then made a very sweet card to me. They call me Mom because I'm like the one handing out, their everything that they ask for. They have to ask me to spend money. So they think they treat me like I'm their mama. But anyway, so they had very sweet card, and they bought me lunch from one of my favorite places. So it was a lovely day. I was very excited, I felt very appreciative. And so I literally think the last balloon just left my office, and that was 2 weeks ago that they did that. So, or almost 2 weeks ago. I've had kids come in and slowly ask if they could have one. I'm like, yep, just don't get in trouble with it. Bye. So, but anyway, I put little wordy bits on here. One says, enjoy every minute. One of them says, color my world. And then the one that I put on the picture says, one step at a time, which I thought was kind of funny, since I had to be super cautious about walking around in my office for a while. I did put a little banner or a label down here that's got the date, or I'm about to. And then I'm also trying to figure out the whole, on the sketch you can see over there on the left, it says journal, journal, journal. And I didn't want to just write straight on my paper, because I suck at writing if I don't have some kind of a guide. And so I hate writing straight on the layout unless it's like right under the picture or around a, as if I've got some guide as to where I'm going. And so I decided I'd find a tag or something in the embellishments for Spectrum Sherbert. So I found this one that's orange and pink, which of course matches the stuff that I've already got in the middle, and it matches some of the papers. So I put that down and just wrote that when I came into work on Monday after my birthday, my admin had decorated my office. There was a banner on the door, balloons covering 3/4 of the floor, party hats and a noisemakers on my desk, and a computer, and on top of my computer friends. Plus they bought me lunch in a sweet card. I love my job. I love my admin. I feel very appreciated, and I enjoyed extending my birthday just a little longer, because I started celebrating the Thursday before. So 6 days of celebrating your 50th is not a bad deal. So anyway, here is the sketch again by Scrapping Sleepy, Kristen. And hers is Kristen with an I. It was a lot of fun. Great way to use up some scraps. Great way to use up branding strips. You could have definitely used some more of those to create that Polaroid feel if you had more that you wanted to use. I did put My Heart is Happy as the title. It's not as big as the one on the sketch, but it felt fitting for this layout. And one more thing used up. So I would love it if you go check out everybody's hopping along with 30 Days of Sketches. Of course, go check out Scrapping Sleepy. Scrapping Sleepy. And I'd love it if you give me a thumbs up if you like my video and or my layout. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Hope y'all have a great day. Hope you get a chance today to do something you love with someone you love. And happy scrapping.